Hi, I am Amanda Cassar and welcome to the Financial Secrets Revealed podcast, where I have collected the wisdom from some amazing people around the world to understand better their money story. I have financial advisors, multi-million-dollar corporate executives, and those surviving on Centrelink, even running global charities. I hope you enjoy listening to the episodes as I speak with these incredible people about their stories. Hello and welcome to the Financial Secrets Revealed podcast again. I am here with the fabulous Erin Truscott today. Now, Erin is a bit of a rock star, and I think when we very first met, you had just taken out the AFA Rising Star Award. So I think that's a few years ago now. So what have you been up to since we last spoke?
Yeah, that was 2016 that was. So it feels like an absolute lifetime ago. But yeah, look, been up to a lot. As you know, I left the corporate world and joined an advice practice, which I was there for a number of years. And then it just was kind of different paths, the different path scenario where, we all decided it just wasn't kind of working, and it wasn't working for me and my family world, because a lot of that has changed as well. Yeah, and I made the jump, the difficult jump and the difficult choice to join a practice that I can really grow with. We're all at the same sort of stage of life, and we're all sort of have that same sort of ultimate kind of vision and goal as to what we all want to achieve, and the nice balance between work and lifestyle. And so, yeah, that's what I've been doing, just a few little things.
So speaking of growing, the last time I saw you, you were growing your beautiful daughter Flossie.
I was growing. I was growing a beautiful daughter. She's just turned 4 this
Wow.
month. So it feels like, it's so funny. Everybody says this, but time flies when you have children, and it does. Like, you kind of laugh when people say it, but it's one of those things that 4 years I can only remember. I remembered, it feels like yesterday when I was pregnant with her, and I found out I was pregnant with her, and then I grew a big belly, and then I had her, and you kind of just go, where's the time gone? But it sure is a blast, and they sure are.
So I think you've probably changed careers, you've had a baby, you've changed partners, you've launched a podcast, you've just been super crazy busy in those 4 years since we last spoke. So lots going on.
Yeah, I don't really like to stop. I like to always be propelling forward. But yeah, it is hard. Like, it's been a tough few years, actually. It's been a lot of figuring things out. And I think when you have kids, I had a relationship breakdown very early on when I had my daughter. And in the last couple of years, I've met another gorgeous partner and all of that sort of stuff. So it's, moving house, starting a new business, getting involved, and doing the things. Yeah, that's right. But it's all about purpose, trying to find what makes me happy and keeping that nice balance, which is difficult at times, but certainly working towards that in a positive way.
Awesome. So now you've got your little floss pot. What was family life like growing up when you were young, Erin? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, my family was, we had a really interesting dynamic. So I've got 2 parents, obviously, and then my 2 parents came from previous marriages. So I grew up with myself and my sister, who were the children of my 2 parents, and then my stepbrothers. So I had 3 stepbrothers, 2 from my dad, 1 from my mum. And we were just a family of 5 kids and 2 parents who had their own businesses, always running their own businesses. So they had that entrepreneurial spirit. They had, I learned a lot of lessons from them sort of as I grew up, and as I started sort of being old enough to kind of understand the stresses that they faced and some of the mistakes that they made, and identifying, what that caused for our family, how that made them feel, how they dealt with and picked themselves up when they sort of made mistakes and things like that. Yeah, certainly a very busy family life growing up, both parents in business together. And so they were always working, always on the hustle, and always trying to make sure that our family could be prosperous, I guess. And that went in ebbs and flows. So they sort of I just remember these huge moments of success where everything felt really easy. And then I always remember some of the harder times as well, where there was a lot more pressure. And of course you feel that, when someone's feeling pressure, then it kind of exudes out towards everybody else. So we sort of had, that ebb and flow. That was kind of the biggest memory I have, sort of particularly when we think about money, lifestyle, all those sorts of things growing up as a kid. Sometimes it felt really easy, and then other times it was really difficult.
So when I asked you where you learned about money, you basically said the school of life. It was mum and dad and their experiences. So what do you remember learning about money? And I know there's often those unspoken lessons. So what did you pick up?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is, and I say this to everyone all the time, and it's so nice because hindsight's such an amazing thing. And I'm sure as I talk to my parents, my mum and dad, they say the same thing. And it's that sort of messaging of kind of not expecting that everything's always going to be okay, and having a bit of a plan for that. When there's lots of money and an abundance of money, it's really important to enjoy life, of course, but also to make sure that just in case there's another time where we might not have an abundance of money, that there's a bit of money in the kitty bag. And I think that's probably something that my parents will put their hands up and admit they probably didn't do as best they could. So when it was tough, it was really tough. And then when it got good again, it's kind of like some of those lessons forgot to be learned. And it's such an easy thing to do because I think we've all experienced times in our lives where we've done that. But yeah, that was probably the biggest unspoken one, is when things were really good, how did they go from so good to being really stressful? And it's because, of course, money pressure is one of the biggest pressures and stresses that we can face. And it is a horrible stress and a horrible pressure. And it's always nice to know when you're not living week to week or month to month.
Yeah, I think we've all been there at some stage. So
Absolutely.
how did you go from, these, I suppose, entrepreneurial, business-minded parents to ending up in financial services and eventually becoming an advisor?
Yeah, so I actually had no idea what I wanted to do when I left school, and it was the biggest cause of contention because everyone went for the OP, and I did do the OP and I did all of those things, but I didn't do it because I had a specific thing that I wanted to do at uni. And what I ended up doing was leaving school. I worked 3 jobs for a few years, and I went overseas and I lived in London, and I travelled with my friends, and I put myself in that place where I could work temp and I could get some skills. And yes, that's right. Well, the gap year turned into nearly gap of 3 years. And during that time, the last work job I had in London was at the London School of Business, and it was doing logistics for all of their really big personal development courses for professionals. And we're talking the CEOs of banks and European car companies and really big wigs, right? And lots of people in money, so finance and all those sorts of things. And so I got to meet all those people as a result. And I started to get really interested in those workings. And so when I came home, I was like, okay, I know I kind of like that kind of world. So what do I want to do? So I put myself in a licensee in a place where I knew there would be a lot of opportunity for me to discover and learn all of the different types of roles. Fast forward a few years, I did business development on the product side, so I learned all about investments and insurance and all of those sort of things, like what advisors are investing their clients' money in. And then I moved to practice development, and that then sort of pieced together the goals and objectives and the dreams and, that part of it, which obviously, as you know, is the most exciting part, helping someone achieve their life dreams and their goals and all those sorts of things because of the skills and the ability that you have to connect with them and then give them the right sort of things that they need in order to connect those dots. Yeah, that was when it sort of just got in my head that I was like, okay, I really want this to be the thing.
That's for lining up.
Yeah, they were. And then one of the practices that I was working with offered me a role there, and kind of the rest is history.
So it sounds like you've sort of fallen into this role after this wonderful 3-year gap year. Have you personally had any financial setbacks? And if so, how did you overcome those?
Yeah, look, I guess I kind of followed in my family's footsteps a bit in terms of I really didn't always plan necessarily. I was kind of living my life and trying to have a great lifestyle and all those sort of things that you do when you're young. And I sort of forgot about those messages of, what do I do about the rainy day and all those sorts of things. So I kind of, I was doing what I loved and I got into this business and I probably bit off a little bit more than I could chew, and I probably didn't plan as well as to how that would look if I changed my mind or things didn't go so well or whatever. And of course that happened where I did change my mind and I had to make this choice where financially I lost a bit because I knew that was more important. My happiness was more important. I had a family now and I needed to make those choices for myself. But I think the planning part, like I kind of forgot about that. And whilst you're so busy planning everyone else's lives and money, often it's, you forget to do it for yourself. The shift to this new business and lessons learned from the years prior and probably, I had a great time traveling and doing all those things. So you never regret those things. But could I have made that part less stressful on myself? And so certainly coming into the new business, it's kind of very structured and set and really wanting to have that plan. And I get stressed now when I don't know what's happening with money, when I'm not clear, like absolutely clear, like it doesn't just fall into place. I need to know everything.
You sound very old and responsible.
Oh my
now.
God. If you talked to my partner, Dane, he would tell you it's probably the most annoying thing about me because I'm just questions all the time, questions. What's happening with this? What's happening with that?
So do you think over the years there's been one particular best financial advice tip that you've been given?
Look, slow and steady wins the race is obviously the big one. Like make sure you do have a plan. I think coming off of like just thinking it's all going to happen, it doesn't necessarily happen because often, the more money you make, the more you keep spending. I think accountability is a big one. Having accountability for yourself, which is often the hardest, but also having someone that keeps you accountable is a really massive one. And I think it's like that accountability of remembering why are you doing what you're doing? Why is it important not to just go and buy the 6 pairs of shoes or go on a shopping spree or book the extra holiday or whatever? Like what goal or what major thing that you're working towards is that having an effect on? So yeah, I think it's kind of making sure you know what you want to achieve. Like, why is having money important to me? I always say this, probably till I'm blue in the face, but money is just a vehicle. It's not the thing that creates happiness. It just allows you to do those things. So, like, what are those happy things? What do those things cost? And what are you stopping yourself from having that makes you happy by not having a plan and not being accountable to the goals that you set?
So moving on from that with the accountability and all the rest of it, is there a top financial tip then that you like to pass on to your clients? And you have sort of touched on that there, but is there, if you had to nail it down into a sentence, what would it be?
Don't put all your eggs in one basket and don't try and win overnight because it's really hard to do that.
Get rich quick.
As we know, get rich quick. I mean, look, I'm not going to say I've never bought a lotto ticket, on that $100 million night, just in case, not going to say I've never done that. But I think it's, like just having a plan and not getting so stressed about it that you want to shift it around all the time, but just wanting to like understand what you've got, how much it can do, that it's realistic and just like, not putting all your eggs in one basket, and slow and steady wins the race. We all know that it is very hard to win quickly, but small bits now for massive gains later is really important. And I think the earlier you start, the better, but it's never too late to start. I have people that come in to our office and it might be 50 or 55 or whatever, but they've still got heaps of time. And it's like when you want to start, you should start. So any time is never too late.
Yesterday was always better, but today's great.
100%. Today's great. Yeah, you kind of taking control of it, and having control is really important.
Exactly. So you sort of learned, I suppose, through attrition from your parents, and you just got these sort of lessons as you go. There was no spoken. Now that you've got Flosspot, will you be teaching her things about money? Will there be specific lessons you want her to learn so that if someone says to her when she's 20, what did your mum teach you about money? What's that going to look like?
Yeah. Absolutely is the answer to that. I think one of the big things with Floss now is she's 4, right? So she knows about money. She knows it can buy some cool toys. Variation of toys is from small toy to a big toy. And I sort of liken that to buying your first bike to buying a house as a grown-up or like a kid. That's the valuable things to her at the moment, like getting the Barbie camper van is like us buying a house. Like that's her major goal. Like when she gets there, it's going to be awesome. So she's kind of got a different currency, and it's that value currency, like, and it might be like, it's not money, but it's like the car, and then she's got to earn the Barbies that go in the car, and then she's got to earn the little add-on car that drags the trailer, whatever it is.
So how is your 4-year-old earning these credits for these toys?
Yeah, so she, through very good behaviour, and she actually is learning pretty hard lessons, because if she doesn't do what she needs to do, she has very clear guidelines set for her. She understands what those are, and she knows exactly what she has to do. So it's like that clear plan, right, to get the stuff. And it's little things for 4-year-olds, like she can't like clean up the kitchen and vacuum the carpet yet, but she's putting her toys away, listening to instructions, doing the things, being kind to others. When she does have stuff that she's not using anymore, she makes a little pile in the corner of the house and she gives it to the kids that need it more. We're teaching her and instilling, like she's really cute. The other day she actually brought out her second tea set. She's like, Mum, I've just realised I've got 2 tea sets. Let's give these to someone who needs it more than me. And I'm like, oh, I love this. So you're learning. So she understands that the value of things when she's finished with them, don't finish, because one man's trash is another man's treasure, and there's always someone that needs it more, and she has a really blessed life. But also that you don't just get things because you say you want them. You have to earn them. And that could be through, many different things. And as she gets older, it'll be jobs and pocket money and all those sorts of things. When she gets birthday money, we've just recently had that exercise. She has to think really carefully and plan like what she wants to buy with that. And does she want to save it? It's not just go out and spend it now. What are you putting towards the saving? What's the savings part to put towards the bigger thing? And then, sure, go and buy something now. But like she has to actually think about it, and we actually have a conversation before we just go out and let her frivolously spend.
Now, it's lovely that she's being so charitable, and you and I are both big fans of a group called Hands Across the Water. Can you tell us a little bit more? You've done so much more with them over the years than me, but tell everyone a little bit about Hands and how you got involved and why they're so wonderful, because we did have Peter Baines on the podcast earlier. So, go ahead, give him another plug.
Oh, give him another plug. Oh, look, these guys are, I think from the minute I saw Pete speak, it was back in 2012, and I ended up on my first ride in 2013. This is an amazing organisation creating incredible long-term sustainable change in so many communities across Thailand. I got involved on a bike ride at a pretty tough time in my life where I just needed something to sort of get me through a bit of a hump. And it was 800 Ks in 8 days. That part of it was absolutely difficult and challenging, but also one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life. Went back on to do another 5 rides, and I'm waiting for the world to open up so I can do another one.
I can't wait to go back and do one of their handyman projects, take my hubby and go and do the fixing up. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think, look, the beautiful thing about these guys is they really have their purpose nailed, and they are really making these changes in these communities, and they're doing it in a way where they've still got local people managing and running everything, and they're listening to them, understanding what their needs are, and getting them the right amount of help through fundraising. So each time we do a bike ride, it's a $10,000 target to hit, which is a challenge, right? And they've faced immense challenges in these last few years with COVID. The bike ride is their biggest fundraiser, that the biggest way that they raise funds. So the amount of amazing things that have come out of that, we've seen the Future of Leadership, the amazing leadership conference run by Pragmatic Thinking, Darren and Ali Hill, who have also faced immense challenges throughout this whole COVID palaver that we've been facing, that we all thought was a bloody joke at the start, and we're all waiting to wake up from this horrible nightmare. So amazing to see the strength, resilience that this business have faced, how all of the people, myself included, we've all chipped in to keep trying to come up with ideas and getting involved in any way that we can to keep the funds flowing through to the kids. But I think purpose is important. Having a purpose that's bigger than yourself is a really big one, and certainly this is mine for sure.
Yeah, no, that was definitely worth another plug, and I've had Ali on the podcast as well. So we're tying it all up in a bow here.
Great. Awesome.
You may be my last for season 1. I think that just brings it all together beautifully.
Oh, nice.
So back to your money story. I know
Yeah.
when, as advisors, we talk to people about, do you have a family budget? And we often get that glazed look like, oh, the B word, like, don't
Yeah.
talk to me about it. Do you personally run a family budget?
Yes, I do. It's a hot topic at the moment in our family. Um, I have a gorgeous partner in real estate, so obviously that's booming, and our business is booming as well. And so it's really important for us to try and work through what that looks like, because there's an immense opportunity. So rather than going, oh, cool, all this money, let's just spend it, we're sort of trying to go, okay, what does actually our life look like? And what does that mean we can save? What does that mean we can do? And we have an amazing opportunity to make the most of that. And the only way that you can do that is to understand the truth of the money situation now, what it costs, understand where you might be overspending, underspending, whatever that may be, put it into a budget and try and set yourself up so that you don't stuff it up. And I think, that's about having good structuring, digitally planning your debits and all those things, because there's so many things that come out every week that can get you into trouble if you're not careful. You've got to make sure that you know what apps you've got. Apps are bloody annoying. Cause like sometimes you forget you've got these apps and you're like, oh shit, I've got to.
I had one millennial money guru actually come on the podcast, and when I asked him about his budget, he went, I just checked it recently. He goes, I had 2 or 3 like Netflix subscriptions, didn't even know.
I know,
I just
right?
kept signing up. So, I mean, these are money professionals. It's so easy to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. So you got to check in on these things. Much to Dane's hate of it, I make us sit down like probably once a month right now and like update what's here, what's happening here, what do you got coming in, what have I got coming in. It's kind of like, it's one of those things, because for us money comes quite sporadically in a lot of situations, and it might be a month or two before you get another large sporadic payment or something like that, or larger. So you really do have to have a plan, and you have to make sure that you're across what's happening and that each other understands the situation. I cannot stress enough, like how many times I sit with people and someone just goes, oh no, they just do it, and it's like, you can't, you've got to know, like you have to understand, because we've just got to, if you don't have to do it. Like I run our budget, but it's nice to know, like, and sit and get involvement with others, like so that they actually understand how it works and why you're doing what you're doing.
So a lot of people, when you do your budget, you've got your incomings and your outgoings, and it's all very lovely if you're spending less. But for those who are very confronted and don't want to do it because they think they're going to have that, oh shit moment where I've got more going out than I've got coming in, I don't know how to deal with that, I'd rather not confront it. What sort of advice do you have for them, instead of just a big put your big girl panties on and deal with it? Like,
oh damn it, that was going to be my advice. Damn it, you took the words out of my mouth. Look, the benefits are it's the truth of the situation, right? And you're never going to be able to create change if you don't know the truth of the situation. So yeah, if it's confronting and you're worried and you're scared about it, then chances are it's because you already know there's certain things you're not doing that are serving you well on the cash flow and spendings front. And you're going to have to make the realization that those things are going to have to change. And you've either got 2 choices, spend less or earn more, right? So whichever one of those is possible is great. Earning more is always the best answer, I say, but that's not necessarily possible for everybody in the role that they have. So look, I think I know people hate hearing it, but you just do. It is confronting sometimes to see what you're spending, but I think it also helps you be accountable. And if you're like us, I mean, yeah, I'm a financial advisor and everyone thinks I've completely got my shit together. Absolutely, I don't. Like, we have to plan, like, this money goes into the bills account. Like we're in the process of setting all those things up now, because even we were sort of like overspending and things like that. So I'm like, okay, this can't keep happening. So now it's going to be bills account, cash management account. Dane and I get a set amount of money each week, and then the rest gets saved and or invested and whatever. And once you start seeing it build, you go, oh wow, okay, cool. So we're starting to see that fruition come to life. But it is really hard at the start because it's a bit of work. And get yourself an accountability partner. Check in once a month. Maybe it's an advisor, maybe it's someone you're already working with, maybe it's just a friend or a family member that you trust, maybe it's each other in your relationship. But I think it's really important to make sure you do it, go through the hard time, because it's the best feeling ever when you get this stuff under control.
So as an advisor, do you have a favourite form of investment personally?
A favorite form. Oh, it's interesting because the world since we did this book, like we contributed for this book, that you've all like such an amazing book. But I feel like things have changed even again so much. Like the
What is your
fundamentals.
life in the last
I
5
know
years?
the fundamentals will
Do
never
you want me to
change.
tell you
But
what your answer was back then?
no, well, no, because I know what the answer was, and it hasn't changed. I just think there's so many more options for investing, but a lot of people sort of it's like this fad thing, right? Like, oh, do this, do that. Like crypto's massive at the moment; it's such a big thing. Do I think it's right or wrong? Nah, I just think people need to understand it before they go and put everything in the kitchen sink. Look, I invest the same way long term for myself, my family, and all of the people that I work with using managed funds. It doesn't matter though if it's managed funds, exchange traded funds, shares, whatever. The most important thing is making sure that you've got diversity, making sure that you link it to the amount of risk that the person wants to take, and not putting all your eggs in one basket. I think we've seen the world go in crazy ways the last couple of years. And, I haven't seen many negative results in the last couple of years from people who had that sort of structure and were well diversified and maintained reviews and all those sorts of things. So I think it's got to be for the long term. For people that don't know what they're doing, get advice. I mean, we can't just sit here and go, do this, do that, because we can only say what's factual and general, but get advice, get someone to have a look at your stuff and give you the best thing for you.
Yep, tailored has got to be the way it goes, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So, we're in discussions now that, we've had this fabulous bull market where things have been going up for quite a few years. That usually gets people nervous that, after a few years, they're like, well, there must be another pullback because that's just how markets work. Must be coming time for the bears to come out. So sort of combining that, there might be this pullback in the markets, and we're talking about the benefits of advice. How can advisors help clients through those sort of times? I mean, we're coming off the back of a pandemic. We've just got this new variety that's out there, that leaves Delta for dead. There's always something. So how do you see that there's a benefit for clients and advisors to work together?
Look, the benefit for clients and advisors is as a client, it's like me, like if I have a pool or a lawn or a garden, like I'm not good at any of that stuff. So I need someone who's an expert to come and help me do that. Even accounting, like lending, all those things. You got to build a fence around yourself with all of those specialists that you need that know things that you don't, because you know what you know, right? The relationship and the value of an advice relationship is this is what we spend our days doing, right? We're reading, we're up to date, we know what's happening, we're listening to all of the experts that may or may not know exactly what they're talking about, but we're getting lots of input all the time. And this is what we've chosen as our specialty. So for us, I think about particularly like when we're reviewing what we're doing, we're not just looking at the world now, we're looking at, well, what are the potential things that could affect the future? How does that affect where we're investing, how we're investing? What is, like the costs of it, all of the varied things out there that you can use to create the vehicle to get you to those goals, and all of the things that go along with that making it cost effective but still giving you what you need, like all those things. Those are things that is so hard for someone who doesn't know what they're looking for to easily get pushed from all different directions. So if you can find a great advisor that can sit with you, understand what's really important, they can then go and do all that hard, annoying stuff that can often get you into trouble because you don't really know what you're looking at sometimes. And that's just the truth. And it's because it's not your specialty. So for me, there's a huge value in